Okay, I think,
You got it?
well, I've got part of it. And I wonder if you can turn this around. The camera's here. It's exceptionally hard. Maybe that's a little better. Nobody's on because they just got the invite. Water,
I'm okay for that.
it has water.
Just had some before I left home. So. You need a paper?
I have one in the car. It's right.
They get a nice big garage door over there and they gotta go paint. Jump.
Oh.
Yeah. It reminds me too often. What's it? They found it.
No, just check.
Oh,
Not like that.
a day. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Right.
Really lost. Oh, what?
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Others, if you need them.
You got it. Find one. Sorry, I didn't want. I knew it was.
Well,
I always had to be the first.
we accomplished what we needed to.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Of course.
What was it, September?
17.
Is that the next,
Well, potentially.
potentially the next meeting?
Well, we're hoping we get a quorum tonight. If not, we might have to move it.
I don't think we it's the second night of the convention.
DNC, yeah.
Oh,
Barack Obama. Oh, very popular figures.
I've heard of them.
Huh?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. So. Just maybe,
So people may be staying home to watch the speech, huh?
just,
Colleen, can you hear us okay?
okay, that's good, okay.
I can't hear her.
Well, maybe she has it on mute.
Okay, how about now?
There we go, that's great.
Okay.
Colleen, are you going to be able to take notes if we do have a meeting?
Was that directed to me? I couldn't hear. What?
Are you gonna be able to take notes if we do have a meeting?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wonderful.
thank you.
I wonder, does that sound any better?
It sounded fine. I just had to adjust the settings when I logged in. So
Okay. I may do a meeting.
Well, we decided if we were with the real block, it would have been eight. No, no real block. It would be eight, maybe nine. We were fine,
I'm a little shy.
very shy.
So
Hi, Colleen.
hi.
Colleen,
Sorry I can't be there in person, but I don't want to give anyone my cold.
it's all good. Thank you for preserving our health.
You bet. Who's all here? I can't see very good. Okay, so is it?
In my teeth.
You got David, Vita,
And Dave Stack and Don Austinson.
got it.
yeah, find the master.
Huh?
You gotta talk to them and convince them.
Yeah, but where? How? Is there a major meeting coming up, or can you do a major meeting, one in each neighborhood? And invite as many,
That's a pretty good idea.
and then just see if we can persuade anyone.
Did Bryn Mawr do anything for the national night?
We always have, block by block parties. So, I stopped going about 3 years ago, it's just too much. But there are no double block in my neck of the woods, we had a point.
Are there any young people in those 2 blocks?
David, I am so far from the neighborhood activities these days.
Yeah.
Just, I don't have the energy to do that much.
Yeah.
I really don't know. There are a lot of young people around me, whether they're interested in something like this, I have absolutely no idea.
Well, no, we do have that cheat and stuff that.
I just found it today.
She's coming on, right? She's about,
He said she's interested.
Where's it?
I think Gigi's coming in.
Oh, okay, good.
Hi, Gigi. Oh, you're on mute. There we go. Good. We have Dave Stack, Don Austinson, and Vita Ditter, along with myself, and Colleen Belmont's on Zoom.
Hey everyone, sorry I couldn't join in person. I have COVID.
You and everybody else.
No, I had to jump on the bandwagon, I guess. Thanks
I had
for
it
Did you?
first time for me.
Yeah.
really close.
Yeah, I would,
But I isolated myself from my grandsons. I have several grandsons, African American, who remember all the testing that used to be done on African Americans, and they absolutely refused to have any new shots. So I told them they could come visit me until the whole thing is over.
No vaccinations at all? None of the regular ones?
They did when they were small, and their mother took them to school and that kind of stuff. As adults, no, none of them.
I've got a nephew in Kansas, he and his family will not have any other vaccination.
Either,
No, no, we don't have enough information. How
Hmm.
much information do you need?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this may be the group, so we don't have a quorum to
Do anything.
do anything,
Official.
but we could do unofficial work.
Yeah. Well, I think the mission statement is something you could brainstorm on probably.
Yeah, and I'd also like, I talked to like Dick. We're wondering if we could take your brain about how to deal with the railroad to purchase the land for the trail. Give us something like something. We don't really know, we don't know where to start.
We had to sue them to get to the closing table, so. So I've been in conversation with the owner of the Fruin Mill. And he hired David Drock, who used to work at CP Rail as their real estate attorney in House Counsel. And David now is doing consulting work for people and organizations that are trying to negotiate with the railroad. And he reached out to Kansas City Southern, I think is the new name of CP Rail.
Yeah, that's what I noticed that Dick is here, and I had never seen that before. CP Casey or something like that.
Yeah.
He was designated as, and I hadn't seen that. But,
Yeah, they merged. And I think Kansas City Southern bought CP Rail in the last 12 to 18 months. And so they've moved all of their corporate operations out of downtown Minneapolis to Kansas City. It does make it a little harder. The same real estate team that was running all of the real estate for CP Rail is now in charge of all of the real estate for both CP Rail and Kansas City Southern. But they responded to an overture from their former colleague, David Drock, and are willing to open conversations to negotiate to sell the spur all the way out 3.7 miles.
That would be wonderful.
I think they named the price of like $10 or $15 million, which is the problem.
Is
Wow.
that too high?
So, I mean, it's more than I can spend.
No, I'm saying, is that too high? Considering
I think
where the real estate is.
the park board wants to buy it for like less than $5 million. That's kind of where I think the deal is. And so, and I suggested to Adam Arvidsson a year ago that instead of continuing to play nice, you could also try to get their attention in a different manner, which was, yeah. And he didn't like that so much. So I think we can keep pushing on it. I know the owner of the Fruin Mill, Greg Cope, and I are aligned about what we're trying to get accomplished, and I think those we should interest most in.
What are they going to do with Fruin Mill? It has gone through so many hands and so many different, it started off with, what's his name?
All right.
Yeah, and he had that architect come in and he was gonna get apartments and all that kind of stuff. Now what? Okay.
Well, the story I heard was that people aren't doing the homework when they're buying it, they put condos in there, but they can't because residences can't be behind that active railroad line. we've gotta have a separate entrance. Because
Because they have
if
to
it-
drive over that.
if a train is blocking there at some time and an ambulance, the fire truck has to come in, there's a train blocking.
Yeah.
They've gotta have a second entrance. Yeah. It's just way too expensive, and
Yes.
kind of kills the deal.
That's been an issue forever.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, maybe that isn't being told to the prospective buyers.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
Kind of
whoever developed that is gonna have that as a problem.
yeah,
We did suggest that they come in straight from Glenwood, under the bridge,
yes.
straight into the, parking
Yeah,
lot.
they'll have to pay the park.
Exactly.
And the park board was willing to do that.
Yes. they
I don't
do.
know what the price was, but they'd have to build that,
Yes.
buy the land, they had to build their own bridge across the creek.
It has to be higher than what is there right now, for them to drive under there.
And then they'll have to, well,
Well, because
they got to
trucks,
the trains go under the bridge, so they can go.
even the fire trucks, with their huge big stuff on the top,
Well,
there's enough space there.
probably, because I think that that's higher than just about like the overpasses on the freeway. So
Gotta be over 13 feet, yeah.
as well over that has to be 25 feet for the rail.
Is it? Yeah.
The clearance is
I think 25.
24, 25.
So that should be plenty of.
Yeah, but but they'll have to spend all that and the park board also, from what I heard, was gonna have to pay them $400 per unit that they sold. But this was 20 years ago too. So
That was when Friday said it's all.
that was back then, 20 years ago, and so probably too. So that, I mean, it was just gonna add too much to the whole project. Yeah, and so I keep seeing different owners of buying it every 5 years.
Being reminded again.
No, I got,
But what would they do with the line? Because it's gonna come
Right next
right
to
through there, right, well, it's right between their property and right through the property pretty much, and then over that bridge.
That's
Yeah, what I think they're trying to do is. There's two lines, there's the CP line that is
It's
inactive,
dead.
Right,
and then there's the BNSF line, and I think. They effectively have an easement over the BNSF line, and there's no getting around that, that's an active. That's my understanding.
yeah, an active line, and, for doing, it's the, Glen Inglewood business, and the doing business, and Con Agra, whatever, have to be through with it. I mean, yeah, they did business,
Yeah.
traffic over there, but
And I think CP, now that Pioneer Paper is leaving, CP doesn't think there's any more
That
active
was the
business.
only business that they serviced, I thought.
And they didn't service Pioneer Paper for like 10 years because they got into over the bridge. And I think while Pioneer was still in operation here, there's some legal reason that CP needed to maintain ownership and control of the line. So that if the customer would ever want to come back to them, that it would have been like a forced requirement.
But having bought it, now what are the
Well,
conditions?
we haven't bought it,
Oh, you haven't bought it.
we're in the process of buying
Okay, but when you do buy it,
it, if and when, yes.
if and when,
We-
so what does that do with Burlington? Is that with Spruce supposedly, that and, what's the junkyard that used to be down there?
mentioned,
Making it, yeah.
Those
So,
are
those-
the two businesses that they serviced. That was a spur.
Well, I think we could file some like formal document that says we're no longer interested in service. I don't think it's
well,
necessary.
it's impossible for them to service it, even if they would track something.
Agreed. My understanding is it's not that expensive for them.
To
Or
replace.
put those back in there.
I raised that with Mr. Drock. He said, that's not a big deal." You know, I know.
But getting back to the Mill area, you know, where would that, because they wouldn't be able to run on that CP line right into your property there along the creek. Because of the fact that it was across that active line, and I don't think Burlington Northern would ever allow an activated bicycle pedestrian path to go across their line. That's what, I mean, that's what I've heard several people tell me, so no, they would. That. I don't know, you know. So that's, and so that's what we're like.
It's Martin's.
But did it, yeah.
Don, Rita, Dave,
We have, oh, sorry, Michael, we have Colleen and Gigi on Zoom.
Is that correct?
all this my chair, or the chair,
Kind of roll, they roll around quite a bit. You gotta be careful.
you there, slick floors and very efficient wheels.
Well, we were just talking about the railroad a little bit.
Okay, can we, is that okay to continue this? Because, I mean, you know, Dick Adair and Michael Martins and I and some other people, we thought that it wouldn't take very much of that right of way to come off of the existing trail that's in the Harrison Basset Creek Park down by the
Yes.
near Chestnut there, and to then go down onto the right of way, go underneath the Mosquito Lake Road, and then get, you know, onto your property, and then you are talking about allowing them down along the side of the creek
I
there.
mean, we want the park board to buy the land next to the creek so that they can have a trail.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be, yeah. Right. I mean, it is possible that they could build a bridge, but they would still need to go across the little corner of the Pine Paper property, a bridge, and then go down the south side of the creek, because that's all public property down there.
Yeah, I mean,
But eventually there'll be private property.
what you're describing, you wouldn't necessarily need to acquire much of the right of way from the railroad.
Exactly, right, you know, yeah, that would be, and I don't know how they would, you know.
They don't want to do it.
They don't want to parcel it out like that.
They want to let go of the whole thing. I mean, part of it, yeah, part of it's my understanding is that it's time intensive for them to do a landscape, and so they 3.7 miles or 0.7 miles. I'd rather just do 3.7.
The same administrative cost to do that.
Yeah.
The separate.
That's
So Dick's idea, Dave's idea, just black up one section, is a no starter from what I hear from you.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's the sense I'm getting from David Drock, who used to work for CP Rail. Like he's really guiding towards, if you're gonna do it once, and maybe to get their attention, see if you can do some sort of grand bargain with something that the railroad actually wants, like better access in the northeast to their rail yards, or condemning property in St. Paul for an entire block next to the family plans.
David, is there any way that you can put together a consortium of people who combine to buy that city of Minneapolis, for instance, Park Board, for instance, the two neighborhoods, maybe they can contribute, because the mill is actually in Bryn Mawr, but the right of way to it is in Harris.
Yeah.
So is there any way that as a developer who has an interest in some of that land, that you could work with Park Board, add all these people together and buy the whole 37,
I mean,
make a consortium to buy it.
the short answer is yes. That's what we've been trying to do for 6 years. You need a politician to be leading that charge, and so we've been auditioning different politicians when I
Have
go
you
meet.
talked to, the park board
Yeah,
representative for this area? She's really a go-getter.
yeah, but the park board doesn't have enough money for the whole thing. And so it's always like,
Combined with the county.
right, so that it's always, well, if we'll do a little, if we can get them to do a little, if we can get them to do. We can get-
Exactly.
But you need one person, with a bottle of usher to get them all together, and it can't be the private developer who ostensibly is trying to line us in the pockets. That's what they all think, right? So it's, we're trying to like, kind of, come on, you guys can do this, it's good. Then you need one, and to date, my most optimistic moment was when Irene Fernando,
Yeah.
County Board Chair, and her Bill Emery, her aide, got the idea of a community works project, which
Yes,
is,
exactly.
they've done large community works projects in North and South Minneapolis and elsewhere, to have that's the conduit for the dollars to show up for the big infrastructure improvement. And it's also a good facilitation model from a policy perspective to be able to get all these different actors to play ball together.
Okay, now she's, county from the north side.
She lives in Harrison.
Right.
Her husband has been on the board of Harrison.
Okay, but, there's another county person, that represents a lot of Bryn Mawr.
The commissioner for Vermar is Marion Green, and somebody told me that she's the head of the transportation subcommittee.
Can you pull her in?
Well, so here's the little line going. The county and the railroad do not
Get along,
act.
no.
Well, the county blocked their,
Yes. Well,
they wanted to bring.
it's
Where they went, where CP and Burlington Northern wanted to put a switch here.
well, I know.
And as a consequence of getting that blocked, Burlington Northern blocked running the blue line extension down their right of way and require that big concrete wall.
$92 million. Yeah. Right. So there's not, it's like oil and water. So the county is the right entity, but for the politics, to be able to get all the different players to come to the table and do the transaction, but for the fact that they want to shoot the railroad at sunrise. So it's like, well, okay. So we're thinking the park board maybe is the conduit between the community works project that the county is running, and the park board gets dispatched with the pot of money from all the different agencies, and they go do the Rails to Trail program negotiation with the railroad, and maybe Trust for Public Land, who they've engaged to try to do that, can get somewhere. So that's kind of what's
Okay,
a little stuck.
all right, so we've got 5 people here. Who could we write as a group and say, we really need your help, we need this done, can you really help us with coming on
I
board?
think Bill Emery, Irene Fernando's,
Okay,
he's probably the person that can get to Irene. And
okay.
And he's,
And I think at this point, Dave, you might be the logical person, you and Dick there, to write that letter, and we will all sign it. As ROC, that we have been working on the Basket Valley, we've been working on getting the mill built and servicing, and if we can have X% affordable housing in there as opposed to all market rate. Maybe we can start moving.
Yeah.
And can we
Uh,
get that letter supported by the ROC via email, because we don't have a quorum?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would suggest that.
I've got a question for you, Dave. Dick is writing a proposal that he wants to present like September 3rd at the park board meeting, encouraging them to buy just that little section under Seal Lake Bridge. Do you think we should go ahead with that, or do you think you should just
I mean,
We're just talking about that.
I don't think we're gonna get the railroad's full attention until we start waiving
All 3.7.
all 3.7 miles and like a significant check around saying, hey, we want to do business. Like, I just, they're way too busy. So, and so,
Any antique stuff. No, I agree.
Well, from their perspective, I understand, you know,
Yeah.
piecemealing it is a lot harder. If you can just get it all done at once.
and I mean, from the way that David Drock describes the real estate team, it's like 3 people. And they're doing like hundreds of transactions a year, and most of them are like 10 to 50 million dollars and actually make money for the railroad. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, this is not a priority, so we have to make it really easy. Like, get all the public sector to show up with money. We'll give you this, you can give that.
Okay, why don't you write a letter and I will forward it to the entire email list and say, will you please endorse, if you agree with this, we're trying to get my, get a consortium going, blah, 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 whatever.
I'll be.
David, do they just want to sell to the switch that's just west of Peterworth Parkway, or do they want to go on to the next switch to their north-south?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what is that 3.7 miles and.
I always thought it was like out to 100.
That's what, yeah, seems about right.
Yeah, that would
It may
be
be-
second, what I would call the second switch.
It may be less than that, but that's, I guess, what I've always assumed.
Yeah, or maybe just a little bit west.
Can your people confirm just exactly where the 3.7 lies? And then give that to Dave so that he can include the actual,
Mhm.
land.
I'll email David Drock and see if I can get some clarity around what a deal structure might look like from the railroad. And
Exactly.
what we're talking about.
If it goes all the way west of 100, I heard that rec school would be interested in buying their section, so the kids don't have to get on the highway to go to the hockey rink.
I heard that too. Yeah. Do you think that's still true, or that was a while ago?
You heard at the same time I did, just have to confirm it, but I assume it would be, and they might like an intersection off of Highway 55, so they can go right to that railroad right away, instead of going down the Peterworth Parkway and making a U-turn. Since almost all their cars come from the west suburbs.
Do you think they would be okay with that being trail, you know, part of a.
Well, they would, well, to connect with the loose line, all the reason is basically to Peterworth Parkway.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you could put a spur line down to of the trail and part of the road for rec school and part of it would be trail. I think
It would be a nice trail for on the trail would be nice, more straight.
yeah,
It kind of jigs around. It's like a shape.
you know,
Well, you could
you
get
know,
some.
I have a creative mind. And if the railroad could do a side agreement, the park board would buy the right of way as is, and then the railroad would remove the rails and properly dispose of the creosote ties. And then the park board would say, thank you for your donation of $1 million for removing this stuff.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, I don't know how those deals are structured, but I do know that the park board has engaged trust the public land attorneys to try to get traction.
Mhm.
And it's my understanding that they've done this work around the country with different railroads.
Yeah,
So
well, you know,
hopefully
somebody
they-
bought the Cedar Lake Bike Trail with the Italian Greenway, so somebody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, unless the people who retired.
Yeah,
Well, I guess we'll just leave it up to Dave to structure the letter.
I was gonna ask now, who is active with H&A, you or Gigi or?
Neither one of us are active in it right now.
Oh, okay, how about Dan Justison, I think?
Dan
I
is,
think he is, and I think he's interested.
yes, he is.
He's on the Harrison.
But now, see, I'm gonna give H&A could also support this, and.
But it would have to be both H&A and Bryn Mawr neighborhood.
It's Bryn Mawr.
Bill is Bryn Mawr.
And
We don't have representation from either one of them because none of us is in the Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association, and I don't think Dan is in the Harrison. I know he attends the meetings. I don't know if he's actually a member.
Dan is a large member this year and was last year too.
Oh, okay.
He said he was in that large.
Yeah, he is.
Dick Adair told me that Elizabeth Schaefer has talked to Joy Mill people, and apparently they're working on buying part of the right.
yeah, yep. I think he walked in maybe right after I mentioned, so I've been working with the guys, the guy who bought the Froome Mill. And he is engaged David Drock. And so we've had a meeting with David Drock to
Have you talked with people that own Accent Sign?
no.
The sign company down at the bottom there.
Just on Chestnut, just
Yeah.
off of Penn Avenue. The building is vacant, as I understand. But there's no for sale sign. And you would not want a path going down there, because it's very, very close to where the two railroads cross underneath Penn Avenue.
Yeah.
So if they contribute, they can just buy to the creek, the bank creek, and then you put a patio or put an addition on.
I don't know who owns the sign company anymore. For a while, it was in disarray when the owner got shot to death. And I don't know whether the company survived for any length of time after that.
My impression was they decided to move. And I believe he owned the building in addition to owning the company. That's about the extent of my own knowledge.
But he only used a small portion, the rest of it was rented out. I can't remember who to. But the whole building had been used for a while until he got killed. And then there was a lot of someone, let's put it that way.
But now that, so the way you're talking is that the trail would not go behind the building. Because of the Burlington northern intersection.
Yeah, between CP and northern intersection, it's like that. So it's like, there's gonna be a big, sign blocking before you get to that intersection, because neither railroad, because Burlington Northern will not allow that great crossing.
It looks like it's still owned by the same,
Person.
yeah, that bought it in 1996.
Well, let's get the first step done.
Yeah.
Get that letter going and get us involved.
See if we can't get
It would be great if we could get H&A to also support this and be in the.
Okay, why don't you write two letters? No, one to H&A and the same one to BMA.
Yeah.
Because the thing is in Bryn Mawr and the H&A has the right of place. And say, this is happening, this is the problem. Could we get support from both neighborhood associations? Because this is what we hope to try and do, create a consortium. And this is the letter that we hope to send out for lots and lots of signatures to try and persuade people to help us out.
And
Do it that way. That way we are hitting both neighborhood associations. We're not going just with HNA, we're not going with BNNA. We're going with both.
And one point is that the railroad between the yard to the Fluid Mill is an obstacle for the lenders to lend on Fluid Mill. Isn't that correct, David?
That's, yeah. We were
Yeah, we just talked about that. They've got to have access, not from another way.
Let me jump in and tell you that from a note-taking perspective, this is not great because I can't hear you guys very well. I know that you want to write a letter, but I can't understand really what you're asking for support for. Listen.
well, with support for the whole 3.7 miles, right? That's what we want to write.
There's 3.7 miles of property owned by Fry and Mill.
owned by the
Railroad.
railroad, by CP,
Oh, the railroad.
CP,
Okay.
Kansas City Southern.
If you're gonna
I
be,
just ask, whoever's going to give that, because I'm having the same experience as Colleen, whoever's going to give this little summary, could you get as close to the device as possible? I can hear Wellington. Everybody else is
You can hold it closer to the screen than I can.
I think they're just having a hard time hearing. Isn't that?
Yeah, it's very echoey. It's
Yeah.
muddled.
Sorry.
So it's not a silence issue, it's a pronunciation issue.
We should just have one person talking at a time. I think the mic is actually the computer,
oh, it's
not
not
that.
that.
This is
That's just the camera.
camera.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I think what we're trying to accomplish is a letter that would be from ROC that is seeking an additional coalition of support to pressure the public sector of the Park Board and Hennepin County to acquire the 3.7 miles of right-of-way that is effectively abandoned track that CP Rail currently owns under their corporate structure.
And also two separate letters, a separate letter, one to Harrison and to the Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association, asking them for help in getting support for the request that the whole 3.7 be acquired, whether it's by Park Board, by Hennepin County, by whoever else.
Cities.
And as far as the one that's going to be signed by ROC,
Yes,
and which entities is that going to be sent to? The Park Board and what?
that one that ROC signs
Mhm.
will go to the master list that I have and see how many people would agree to support that position.
And once it's signed, then where does it go?
Then it goes to the various entities who have power over those areas, whether it's Park Board,
So it might go 5-6 different places once it's done.
Maybe Hennepin County,
Hennepin County.
maybe the city of Minneapolis and the Park Board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good plan.
All right.
Thank you.
Get all of that?
I don't know shorthand, never did, but I'll do my best.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure we can work on too much else without, as far as the actual committee is. There's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need one more. And to make a quorum.
Do you want to spitball ideas for a mission statement? We don't have to officially vote on it.
If you've got it, so we can mull over it until the next meeting, which is September 17. By all means, share it.
I didn't come with a mission statement prepared, but I think we could talk about the key tenets of it that we want to at least figure out as a group.
I did come up with one that we can work off of if you wouldn't hear mine.
Yeah, please.
I just said the mission is to encourage and support development that is consistent with the intent of the Bassett Creek Valley Master Plan and also aligns with the city's 40 or 2040 plan. I think we need to keep it kind of concise. Concise mission statements are better, and I don't know if that hits all the dots and T's. What do you guys think?
Coming from someone who doesn't, hasn't been here all along, knowing the history. I mean, we've talked about the master plan a lot, but I don't know if we want to broaden our audience, if any people will understand what that plan entails. I'm not opposed to it. I just think we might have to be more descriptive.
I think I agree with you, because when we were talking, and from the city, they told us that the master plan kind of no longer exists, that its salient points were pulled into the city's plan. So if whatever, instead of talking about the master plan, we talk about the city's, what is it,
2040.
2040 plan, or if we want to say the place where people can live, work, raise families,
Environmental,
environment,
recreation.
exactly.
Can I volunteer a few suggestions? In trying to figure out really what a mission statement should consist of, there's 3 things. One of them is the key audience, our market that we want to communicate to. The second is our contribution that we're going to make. And the third is distinction, what makes us different. Because what's going to make us different from Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association or Harrison. So in thinking of that, I think that's a good start. You started out talking about, I think, bringing voices together. You'd have to read it again, but I think the beginning part of your mission statement sounded like something we could work into that. The contribution part could include, how we will carry forth plans that align with the 2040 plan. And then we have to figure out what makes us different. Like what I think one of the distinctions, or the main distinction, is that we're a voice for everybody, and we can provide some sort of agreement between groups and make our voice bigger. It's more collective. That's one of them. I think another one is that we don't really have a political agenda. At least doesn't seem that we do.
I like the fact there's no political agenda, that rather what we're working on
Trying to grow our city.
is to grow the community as part of Minneapolis that services everybody, color, economics, and so on. That it doesn't end up being what the court talked about when it was
You're talking about a concentration of
a
poverty.
poverty.
Yeah, that
Right.
was like Holman.
That was the Holman decree. They created Heritage Park, was do not create a center, a collective of poverty. So that's how I'd like us to expand, to say this is for everybody, this is to expand, this is to have as many people diverse as possible in that area.
With quite a fair amount of
With affordable housing as well as market rate, but it cannot be a center of poverty.
concentration. Right?
Concentration, thank you, I keep on.
So that point, I think, would be part of our contribution.
Yes,
The distinction, I think we also need to say something about how we don't have an official role with this city. Because we're not,
we no longer have, no, you're right, we no longer
right,
have.
we're not bound by those sort of rules, I guess.
We're a collection of concerned citizens.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, there's a difference between defining ROC and the mission statement. We should keep that out of the mission statement. That's a definition.
Yeah, as an organization, we, stand for certain things and we want certain things.
Outcomes.
Whether we're aligned or not, officially.
Yeah.
As a non-official or official group, we can still state kind of the same thing.
Our mission statement won't change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Would we want to have, mission statement and then a set of guiding principles? Like, we want a diverse income in the neighborhood, we want it to support green development. We're not an official recognized.
We want to protect, the creek. We want to enhance its, desirability for people to enjoy. All of those are principles, but they're not necessarily a mission statement.
That sounds a lot like the mission statement for the original ROC.
Exactly.
That could go back 20 years to that.
Do you still have that? Do you have a mission statement for the ROC? Like, is there?
We've got like guiding principles. And,
We've got guiding principles, I know that much.
and yeah, we can pull that out of.
The master plan,
I think it's still online. It's not available
With the
somewhere,
city.
isn't it?
It may still be on the city's website.
I think it.
I have to look, because everything I have is paper. I'm not a modern person with the electronics. David, do you have it?
I just pulled up the master plan.
Okay. And there's a section in there that says principles and all that kind of stuff.
No, I don't know if there's an actual mission statement. Do you remember?
David's gonna answer that question shortly. Just as an aside, somewhere in 2026 or 2027, the city will put out a request for proposals for development on Linden Yards. When the 1 to 2 years before the Southwest Gallery actually starts running, which I assume is in 2028. So that's gonna change everything, in my opinion.
So the.
When did you hear 2028? Because the last one I heard was 2027. So 2028 is news to me. I'm just curious because I've been following it pretty closely, or I had been.
You may be correct.
I know that it's supposed to be completed by 2025, but it's not going to be functional until 2027. That was the last I heard. I mean, considering there's no further hiccups, which who knows? I just want the trails back.
We as a ROC probably not going to be encompassing that area, the Linden Yards thing.
Oh, yeah.
We did at one point.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is that something that we are going to be involved with also now?
Only to the
Is
extent
that part of the area we decided on? Because last time we figured out the boundaries.
it included, didn't it?
We were, yes. We were,
Okay.
Colleen, didn't the map you draw include the Linden Yards?
Yes. Remember Rita, Rick Collins of Ryan?
Yeah.
Made many presentations to Rob about Linden Yards, because at one point they were the master developer.
No.
And their agreement with the city expired.
They were not interested in Linden Yards. What they had was the banana.
Yeah.
And they had lots of development drawn for the banana, and then they had to withdraw because we were not ready for any development down there. And then the city kept on talking about making one end of it a railroad garage, storage area, garage, changing area, and all that kind of stuff for trains coming from Chicago and trains coming from the north. And Ryan was not happy with that kind of taking the land away because it would detract from what they were planning on building there. So that was as far as Ryan went. Ryan did not, as my recollection goes, did not go.
Yeah, their 5-year option expired.
Exactly. So, but we can pull them back in. They may still be interested now that
Chances are they are.
now that there's a railroad station down there, at least there's a light rail station down there and stuff like that. We might be able to pull Ryan back in again and see if they would like to relook at their plan for the banana and does it make sense anymore? What do you have?
So what I'm seeing is there's an omission for the planning work
Okay.
that the ROC did to to develop the master plan. And then it defines what the ROC is doing. But it doesn't, I don't see a mission for the ROC itself.
I have somewhere some in paper, and I'd have to find it. There's got in 27 years, there's a lot of paper that I have on rock.
I mean, there's a section that says committee mission, vision, and design guidelines and principles.
There we go. Principles.
And then
There should be 10 of them.
Yep, those principles are for enhance the area's natural features, create a park-like setting in developed areas, use the North-South Boulevard Parkway elements of the Greenway to shape land development, preserve current and create new views and sightlines, make certain that residential and business areas are developed on a human scale, are safe, sustainable, respectful of the environment, establish guidelines for rehab of existing structures and for new construction that encourage creative design incorporating resource and energy efficiency, create attractive and lively destination commercial addresses in which people work, do business, shop, learn, and gather, explore proven and innovative planning concepts for best utilization of land, bring order to the movement of people, vehicles, and goods, encourage diverse development and creation of additional living wage jobs, as well as retention and growth of businesses in a manner consistent with the design principles and guidelines.
Those, if I'm not mistaken, Colleen, are on the city's website. They're part of the master plan. So
I just sent the master plan that I'm reading from to both Colleen and Gigi.
Thank you, David.
I think that kind of, those are the guiding principles you were thinking about, Michael. Yeah. So, I mean, mission statement and then guiding principles, one following the other, I think would be the way to go.
So one thing to consider is that, you know, in the current frame of Minneapolis politics, being pro-development is a political statement.
Being what is?
Pro-development.
Oh,
And, you know, being effectively not a socialist and believing in economic development is legitimately a political statement. That's the field of play that we're in right now in politics.
Cut out. Could you say that again? Effectively being not something.
So believing in economic development and capitalism is a political statement in Minneapolis currently, given the politics of the Democratic Socialist for America and how that is really had an impact on the political discourse. And so I think we should be considerate if we are trying to be an organization that is as broad and open tent as possible, to think about how to frame what we think good development is, and why we are trying to build the city for and for whom. And if we're not doing that,
Then we're political again.
and people have already defined development as a negative thing and are aggressively trying to do that right. So I wanted to put that out there as.
Thank you, David.
So in what you are writing, the one letter to HNA and BMNA is to say that this development would be beneficial for both neighborhoods in that it would bring new people, it would bring new life, it would bring young people, and so on and so forth. The problem with that is the 3.7 miles of railroad, and could they consider putting someone, one from each neighborhood association on a committee with us? On the other letter, we're going to write and send out to the city for acquiring the 3.7 so that development and that mill can be fixed. Sitting there from the last time it was used was around 1965, 67.
The mill.
I'm going to bring out what David
I talked to him.
just said, should we concentrate on the trail being
Yeah.
an asset for everybody, as a recreational trail for exercise, for commuting, bicycle commuting.
I think I would sell it as a trail, because that's everyone, where people might not see us supporting the Prune Mill as being beneficial to everybody. Not that we don't want to support it, but I think, given what David has just said,
Right, yeah, and we can enhance the environment along the way, that's a greenway and a trail.
And protect the
And
creek
not,
itself.
I mean, and it's like, the development part, maybe just not even get into that for this.
There's not in this letter.
In as far as the trail.
And I point out that the creek, the trail goes back hundreds of years because the Indians used to use it to get to the
Yeah,
river
yeah.
with their goods.
Right.
So we're
And-
preserving history as well.
One other thing is, the trail will unite North Minneapolis with South Minneapolis. Because they can go over Van White Bridge to get to the town greenway.
And it goes right along like the border between the two.
Exactly.
Quite,
Yeah, it accomplishes a lot of things.
and we may even want to see about like, the trail goes up along, Willard Way also, like the west side of the Willard Day neighborhood.
Yes.
And so the Willard Day neighborhood, I think actually it doesn't have its own neighborhood association, I don't think. I think they're combined with Near North. And that's all kind of.
Haven't been enjoying that much lately, so I'm not sure.
But if they could also, have support for this also.
Okay. Do you want to do the two letters as drafts, and send them out? And then those of us who have been listening and talking and stuff, we can
Yeah.
pinpoint it and make it more
Absolutely,
before we send it out.
And
And I do appreciate the fact that I thought you would accept it.
coming back to the mission of the ROC, I think that we could try to define ourselves as effectively a pro-development organization.
Yes,
But if we do that, then I think we need to define what we think is good development. Otherwise, I think we're gonna get painted into a corner too quickly.
Do we do that now? It seems to me that this can be a separate issue from what you were talking about.
I think the
Yeah, this is.
railroad
That's
is
separate.
separate, yeah.
Because we need to think more about how we want to address what benefits development will bring and what benefits it has brought so far. I think we really need to remind people of the benefits that having you and other developers in the Bassett Creek Valley has done in terms of improving.
Well, I mean, being anti-development is effectively saying, well, I don't like the city I live in, because
Exactly.
the entire city was built by developers over history, right? So we,
No, but the point is to point out the history of development that's happened because ROC
Well, I think one way to do that,
accepts development,
one way to do that,
encourages it.
Rita, is if we could identify the number of households in Harrison and maybe Bryn Mawr
Not just-
before the Bassett Creek Valley plan was developed and now, you'd see a huge.
Yeah.
How many are affordable and how many are?
All of that.
are- There is nothing yet in Bryn Mawr.
Okay.
The Bryn Mawr section of the valley is,
this CenturyLink project is not in the Bassett Creek Valley,
I don't,
that Ned Abdul Steve Min project
the one on the North Frontage Road.
by NWAT.
Yeah, okay, but that wasn't part of what,
One part of the rocks.
it was not part of anything that ROC did,
No,
that was separate.
But there's no affordable homes.
Yes, there is.
Oh, that's the 100 units is affordable, 100 units is market rate. Of the two apartments complexes that are built. Cannot remember what the actual telephone building that's being redone as apartments that I can talk about, or the townhouses that are built. I don't remember. It's been too long. How many of those are affordable and how many of those are market rate? I think they're all market rate, but I'm not sure.
I agree with you on that.
But that's kind of
They're all
outside of our,
I think they are. Pardon?
that's outside of our area.
No, it's totally outside of there.
So we haven't really addressed our key audience or market and who are we doing this for? Who are we serving?
Well, we're
Because I
serving
think
the
that's
public for one thing, with the public trail and adding to the greenway along the creek. I
so
guess-
it's we're serving the residents of Minneapolis, we're serving the residents of Bryn Mawr and Harrison, we're serving the business owners in the area.
We're serving anyone.
all of that.
All of those who choose to live in the area or who choose to relocate to the area,
Current and future.
current and future.
And
And we're trying to do it in such a way that it doesn't become a burden on any one area.
So it's not specifically, so if I'm just trying to distinguish current and future residents. Are we including business owners in that? And are we including people that would come in and frequent those businesses?
Or places of worship or,
Or places of worship, yeah. Schools. Do
All
we have any schools in the area?
Pardon?
Are
Yeah.
there, how many schools do we have?
well, there's the Washburn, that's kind of a school, and we've got NWAT.
and Watton and Vermont. I think those are the only three right now.
Bryn Mawr Elementary and Watton, there's Riverbend Education Academy, which is a level 4 behavioral school for all the kids who aren't able to be in a regular setting. That's right on Glenwood.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
That's that big one right by the park board park.
Oh,
parking lot.
that's what that is. Oh, okay. I never knew what that was.
Washburn Center for Children is a mental health services organization for children.
But
Not,
that's after, those ones, Gigi, are after school.
I'm sorry.
those services, are available after school. They bus the kids in.
I
for all-
believe we have some after-school programming, but it's primarily psychological and counseling.
Right, but it's all, as far as I can remember, it's after school, programming.
Or the kids are pulled out of school.
Oh, yeah.
And, is the new boundary for us going to be Highway 55 on the north?
So we determined last time that the boundary was going to be Worth Parkway to Lindale and 55 to 394.
Yeah, south of 394, north to 55, east to Lindale, and west following the creek to Worth Parkway.
I want to point out that Worth Parkway is in Golden Valley.
Well, the border, not necessarily including it.
And actually, the western boundary of Minneapolis is Xerxes. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it should say then. I don't know.
Are you sure of that?
Yes.
Because I thought that the beach and Worth Beach and stuff was all Minneapolis.
It's a Minneapolis park, but it's in, actually in Golden Valley.
Is it?
Is it?
really?
Yeah.
No.
So,
Does that matter?
Yeah, that's a good question. Does that matter?
yeah.
I mean,
Well, we made a motion and we carried it. Motion passed.
we
for
can
those.
talk to anybody, right? We
Nope.
can try to peddle our influence to whoever will listen, right?
Right.
Well, if we're defining it as north of 394, then it would include that development over there.
Now it.
No, yeah.
If that's what you're saying, what you just.
Well, that's what we decided at the last meeting. Those are the boundaries that we talked about at the last meeting.
Yeah, and Colleen said we passed a motion, so I think.
Oh,
Yeah, we did.
okay.
And there were enough
And then it
people.
goes up to Highway 55 and Lindale, and then it was Parkway, is that what you said?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, so that whole area that.
Yeah, and there's a school on Highway 55. Is it OTC or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Hang on.
Oh, yeah, occupational training center.
Heritage Training Center.
Are you talking about Summit OIC?
Summit Life, that's what it is. Thank you.
TCOIC. but-
It changes its
That
name.
would be included in that area.
Yeah,
Lindale.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know those guys a little bit. They had folks from that program. They built part of this building. So we had, I think, 5 or 6 graduates from Summit OIC get pulled in by Frana to build the building here.
Nice. So we could put them in again,
Mhm.
get
Yeah.
some support for some stuff.
It sounded like Frana had a pretty good experience with that. They did that for the project that Trellis did up off of 55 too.
She wants to hear what you're saying.
Oh, sorry.
I can hear, or I could hear that.
I haven't been to all these meetings, but is there a vision statement for this group? Would that help?
We were supposed to work on it today, but we haven't got there yet.
Yes, okay. And then community members might be some tidy language to encompass residents, places of worship, school, communities, business owners.
What do you mean as far as members of the community, is that what?
I think
But, our key audience, our key market, who we think we're benefiting or supporting.
Decide on members of the committee is 4 and 4 from Harrison, 4 from the businesses, 4 from BMNA.
Oh, sorry, Vita.
Alternates.
I was going back to the question about who's the key audience, and we were kind of workshopping
The audience as opposed to the members. I'm sorry.
community members, not committee members. I can understand with the audio, but yes.
Exactly. We got to keep that. So.
Yeah, anyone that lives in or frequents.
The area
It didn't work with.
was lived in, worked in.
Yeah.
Was before what we said before.
So Colleen, is it possible for you to summarize kind of what you have distilled from weak audio?
Do my best. Okay, so I've got all these different pieces of paper. I'm very disorganized right now. I'm working from a notebook that I had a blank page, but then I had other notes in the next pages, so I had to tear some pages out. Okay, so we think our key audience will be current and future residents and business owners and students, but then Gigi suggested we just said we use community because it's tighter.
Community members, yeah.
Community members.
Expand that a little bit. I think it was, community members who live, work, in this area. It's not, or to recreate in this area. It's not just people who live here. It's the community members who
Okay, so
recreate.
Live,
I'm sorry.
work, community members who live, work, pray, play, and shop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I
who
like-
our audience is. Does it cover, does that cover development in the sense of building, housing, apartments, and so on and so forth?
I think so. Because it's future residents that are gonna live here.
Okay,
Mhm.
so it should be present and future
Right.
community members.
Hold on,
For
let's
our
go ahead, Colleen.
for our mission, what I captured, because there was a lot of discussion, is that we want to protect the creek and enhance its desirability. And then all I have for our distinction is that I had no political agenda, cross that out because we determined that development is a political agenda. And so I also had pro-development. So that's about all I captured. I mean, there was a lot of good ideas flying around, but nothing that we all agreed on, I don't think.
Can you work on anything else with these few people?
I think unless Dave's got something to say about what you're working on along the creek there, is there anything new on that?
We are finishing up environmental investigations at the Pioneer Paper site. There were a couple of fires that occurred over the years inside the property, and they were responded to by the fire department, and they used foam, which has PFAS in it. And so there's remnants of PFAS in some of the samples that we've unearthed. And so we have to get a better understanding of what level of contamination may be from that. But nothing so concerning. I mean, it's actually quite a bit cleaner than this site or the dry cleaner that we bought. So,
It would get much worse than the dry cleaner.
no, yes, that was the worst. So I mean, I think we're gonna close on that transaction sometime in the fall.
Great.
And we're talking to a couple of different users about occupying it. And hoping that we'll be able to get a deal together with one of them soon.
Okay.
What kind of business would occupy it?
I mean, the zoning's pretty broad. We're hoping that we can find a user that would be less industrial and less intense from a land use perspective, at least for an interim period. Ideally, it'd be something kind of in the entertainment or destination recreation space, but it's a little tucked away and the market for that's a little weak. We are turning some users away, like the tow truck folks. So
Housing is thinking right now.
not in the very near term. Usually like a project like this takes about 4 years to pull together. Feels like it could take a little longer. So it might be that that's a kind of a longer term development. plan for this.
Are you also suited for obtaining the CP right away on the north side and kind of incorporate that into the development?
That would probably be helpful. My guess is that the park board wouldn't, if the park board were to buy that spur, they wouldn't really want that land. And so a land swap.
Yeah.
With more frontage on the creek
Exactly.
would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Can you contact Ryan Companies and see if you can pull them in again? And see if they would be interested in continuing their interest in the area?
so, a buddy of mine,
From one contractor to another.
oh yeah, yes, so a buddy of mine named Joe Paris, who,
Oh, he was on this committee for a little while.
yeah, he works at Ryan, and he and I do a lot of housing policy work together. We're on a housing policy board together. He is very interested, and I always invite him to these meetings, and
Good.
he always declines, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep pushing him.
Time to push it.
Yeah, I would,
One of our biggest helpers
Was
back at the beginning was Ryan,
Rick
Oh,
Collins.
Rick Collins.
Yeah, Rick was wonderful.
David, do you think the city would want to put out a new RFP to all of the development committee? Or would they want to go back to Ryan? Or do you?
What's an RFP?
Or
Request for proposal
for what property?
The banana.
for the banana.
Oh. They would have to go out to the entire development community for that. Ryan's rights on that property is,
Lapsed a long time ago.
and that was probably not the best moment for them to do that.
I think what we've got between what you're doing and what Colleen is putting together, we've got quite a bit going right now. And that should keep us busy until September 17th.
Yeah, I think so.
And maybe,
Okay, what am I putting together?
The minutes and whatever you've managed to put together as a statement of all the discussion and or points of interest, or I don't know. You're taking the notes, you decide how to do them.
Whatever notes you have, we'll use for a jumping off point at the next meeting.
And hopefully we can get more people to come or to use the
Zoom.
Zoom.
Okay, is there anything else we need to do today? Anyone?
Thank you both for attending via sketchy Zoom link.
Making it available. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Good
Get
to
well, Gigi.
Thank you, John. It was nice to catch up with you earlier. Have a great evening.
Yeah, okay.
Both of you get better.
yeah, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
I am returning the pen. I am